For today I'm going to create some lava bases. First off, obviously we need our base, then we need to make some green stuff up, and initially what you want to do with your green stuff is to create basically what is like a pancake. And while you're spreading this, I initially started off by spreading this out with my fingers, and I would dip my fingers in water to help spread it out. You can see at this stage though it's not nice and flat, which is the reason why we're using the green stuff, because the base has this texture on it. We want to get rid of that texture. Now, as an alternative, there is an easier way of doing things than this. You could use some water effect like this, and the water effect is self-leveling, but because I want to apply some rocks afterwards, I don't really feel that's the best approach. Now we've got this flat like this, or the pancake, but like I said, it's still not flat yet. So what we want to do next is give it a good coat of water. And the reason why we're using water as opposed to using Vaseline, with the Vaseline, see how you can actually see here there's some bubbles. With the Vaseline it can actually get worse. So now we've had a good coat of water, we need something like this, and just go over it a few times to try and flatten it out, and hopefully the water will stop it from sticking. Another little tip I would suggest here, when using your green stuff, try and have more than one project on the go, and that way it won't go to waste. The next thing, we need to trim all these edges. Sort of sculpting tool, dip it in some water, and you want to start going over it on the edge like that. Try and avoid touching the top because you don't want to leave fingerprints. So we've cleaned up the side mostly now. There's still a little bit of mess on the edges, but for the most part it's done. So now once again, you want to apply some more water, and this time use an old blister pack, fingers inside, and you can give it a good rub over like this. And you can also, to catch this edge, you can go over the edges as well, just to try and smooth it all off. But you're still going to have a few of these bubbles, but these bubbles will be okay anyway. They'll actually add to the effect. The next part I'm going to show you wouldn't normally apply, but being it's for the miniature I'm going to use for this particular base, I thought I'd point it out and show you some things. So this is the miniature I'm planning on using. Low contact points in terms of the areas that are actually going to go onto the base. When I've sculpted up the rocks on here, instead of trying to glue these onto the rocks with super glue, I'd rather use plastic glue because it gives you a better bond. So what I want to do is I want to create some areas on the base which I can then use some leftover sprue. The sprue will actually be glued onto the base, not the green stuff on the base, but the base itself, and then eventually these can be glued onto the piece of sprue, which will give a better bond. But first you have to know where those locations are going to be. So what you want to do is get an idea of your placement for your miniature, give it a little push, and then you need to detach it again. And as you can see, it's left a series of marks, and now we need to give it time to dry. Areas that we've previously marked, I've had a section where the green stuff has been cut out, and then I have had 6 pieces of sprue cut to the same length and then glued into place, so the sprue is glued directly into the plastic of the base. You can see all the legs sit on these little plinths that I've created. So all I have to do now is around those plinths build it up so it looks like it's rocks instead, and then it's ready to paint. This time around I've done things slightly different. So first off, I've sculpted up the rocks. I've sculpted the rocks onto the base, that way you can make sure that the rocks are the right size, you don't make them too big. And after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel the rocks off, and some of them will need a bit of trimming, for example getting rid of some of these rough edges. And once they've been trimmed up, I will make the green stuff like the pancake, like explained before. Apply the green stuff, and then when I'm ready, all I have to do is push these rocks onto the green stuff, which is already on the base, and the green stuff will naturally want to stick to itself, so you won't need to apply any adhesives. Here I want to show some lava venting. First off, I've taken the cotton wool off some Q-tips. I've then mixed in extra heavy gel gloss with the cotton wool, and once you've got it, you want to try and spread the cotton wool out. Next step is to apply some of the gel onto the location of your base where you want it, and then you place your cotton wool in the location with a little bit of patience. After it's been painted, it will give you the illusion of lava venting. Now you can see the finished product of the bottom of the base, the rocks, and the lava venting. Now there is easier ways to do this. For example, instead of doing the rocks with green stuff, you could buy either some cork or some slate and use that instead, which is a lot easier to do. But if you actually look at some photos in regards to areas where there's been lava flow, or even watching videos, you'll see that the rocks actually tend to be quite a smooth texture rather than sharper textures. So things like using slate or the cork, it's not really very accurate in regards to the rock. Again, also with the bottom of the base here, I've used green stuff. Now there is alternatives. What you could use is a water effect. You can cover the whole area with the water effect and it will self-level, so over time it'll give you a nice, even, smooth finish. However, doing it this way gives you things like these bubbles, which adds to the effect. When it's all done and finished, it should actually look a lot better. If you like the video, remember to like, share, and click on the button on the lower right hand side to subscribe.